The OPPO Find N5, if you can actually see it in my hand because it's so thin, is one of the thinnest, if not the thinnest smartphone when it comes to foldable devices on the market right now. And OPPO has managed to fit all the good stuff into this with no compromise. But what's wrong with it? Keep watching. So to begin with, OPPO has called this the world's thinnest book-style foldable. Now, whatever book-style foldable means versus just a foldable, don't ask me. But how they've managed to certify that information is entirely up to them as well. But as far as I'm concerned, when you hold this in hand, it is so thin, it's ridiculous. The thickness is literally just 8.93 millimeters. That's thinner than your Z Fold 6. It's thinner than my 16 Pro Max. In fact, a good comparison would be when you look at the USB-C ports on the bottom, you can see how thin this actually is. If I get a 3.5mm headphone jack here, you can sort of see in comparison there how ridiculously thin this thing is. And it doesn't end there. If you unfold it as well, it gets even thinner. Look at that. It's incredible. They've had to do some work on that USB-C port, so that's added some tweaks to make sure that actually fits in that framework there without damaging it. So it's just incredible. They've also reinforced the hinge as well. So the hinge becomes even more tougher and reliable when it comes to folding and unfolding this on a daily basis without having to worry about breaking it or how long this will last for. So durability is no issue there at all in terms of how thin this is. Thinness aside, this is also lightweight. Even when you put this case that it comes with in the box, it's still pretty lightweight as well. This weighs next to nothing. We're talking 229 grams, which is lighter again than the Z Fold 6 and even lighter than the 16 Pro Max. The 16 Pro Max, just for reference, is 227 grams and the Z Fold 6 is 239 grams. So you do the maths, you see how lightweight this is. Elsewhere, in terms of the colors available, this is the Misty White version, and there's also a Cosmic Black. I kind of like this one. It's kind of clean, and it's got this sort of like marble sort of effect on the back there as well in terms of the shell, and it's nice and durable as well. So that's really good. On the front, there's also a screen protector pre-installed on there as well to protect the screen from scratches. You got the hole punch or pinhole camera on the front there. I don't even know what we're calling them these days. You got your speaker grill there, up top there, and then on the bottom, another speaker grill as well, just right by where that USB-C port is on the bottom. Where does the SIM card go? Since it's so thin, it's also right there. You can see it just above there, so you can put your SIM card right into that tray. Also for durability, we're talking titanium flexion hinge, which I was talking about earlier. It's kind of stronger as well, so 70% stronger in a screen. We have nanocrystal glass as well, and this is IPX6, IPX8, and IPX9 rated. And in case you're wondering what all that means is, this is water resistance to a certain extent, but it's not dust resistance. So you have to be careful when using this in the desert, for example. Onto the display. So the outer screen itself is 120 Hz, 6.62 inch OLED display with LTPO. It is 20.7:9 aspect ratio. You're talking 2616 by 1140. For the brightness, it's 1600 nits outdoor brightness and 2450 nits peak brightness. It supports HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, and you have that nanocrystal glass display like I talked about earlier. What this means is you get a really sharp display that looks vibrant, looks really good, although the peak brightness could do with a bit more. It's still brighter than some of the competitors on the market, but it could be better, especially when it comes to this bright sunlight situations that we don't really get in the UK. For the inner display, when you open it up, it gets bigger, obviously. So we have this 8.12 inch OLED display with LTPO as well. So we're talking 120 Hz refresh. It is 9.9:9 aspect ratio and 2248 by 2480 in terms of resolution. But furthermore, on that display though, we do get this nice anti-reflective and polarizer free filter that's been added, or just the way that it's been designed. So that way you get less glare in most places. But the big elephant in the room is that crease in the middle. And you don't really see it on a day-to-day basis unless you're looking for it. But if you do view certain content in certain angles, that's the only time you really notice that crease in the middle. But it's very, very minimal. In comparison to some of the foldable devices in the market where it's so visible, this is one of the less visible one. And when you run your finger on it as well, it doesn't really have that ridge effect as such that you normally get. So when it comes to gaming and that kind of stuff, this is not going to become annoying. And when you're watching videos as well, it doesn't become annoying either. So that's really good. I also love the round curved edges which just makes it nice and easy to hold in hand whenever you're doing stuff on this. So whether it's gaming, whether it's watching films, whatever it is, you can do exactly those things. For the performance, this is the first Snapdragon 8 Elite foldable device. It has 5,600 mAh battery, and the way they've been able to fit that in this thin profile of a foldable device is using that silicon carbon battery, which helps a lot. This also has 80-watt SuperVOOC wired charging and 50-watt AirVOOC wireless charging. You also have AI Link Boost 2.0 as well, according to OPPO. So what can you do with that battery life? You're talking 25 hours of continuous video streaming, around 8.6 hours of continuous Zoom meeting, and 7 hours of continuous gaming. Isn't too bad, right? That's a lot of usage out of this. But in reality, all that means is you can game on this all day long, and gaming performance is really good on this as well. Whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's Genshin, you can do all that kind of gaming level on here, both on that big display, or if you prefer, on that outer display. You can do that as much as you want. And watching films, reading books, all that kind of stuff is just seamless on this device. Performance is honestly incredible. As for software, you don't get many bloatware on there. You do get some apps in the tools area, which means just some stuff that you may never use. So in that tools folder, there are a bunch of stuff in there, and you can download all you want as well on there using the Google Play Store. So if we go into settings to see what's available on here, we go to foldable features because foldable device. We have the display size settings, dual windows option, taskbar, and so on and so forth. If you go to that taskbar, you'll be able to see options available. So for example, you can show taskbar in your apps, but I'd consider not putting that on because you don't want it to infiltrate your viewing experience. So that's the sort of stuff that you can do with the folding features. We go further down to display and brightness. This is where you can adjust that LTPO refresh rate. So if we go all the way to screen refresh rate here, so we've got auto select, we've got standard, and we've got high. So I always have it on high because I just prefer the full 120 Hz refresh. We go back out, we have image sharp now, we have video color boost as well. So you can play around with those to see if it makes any difference to your immersion or viewing experience. So you can change accordingly, entirely up to you. We have face unlock and all that kind of stuff on here as well. So everything that you expect on most Android devices these days are all completely there. For the battery performance, it lasts more than a day in most cases for me, but when I use it heavily, then just about a day is enough of the kind of usage that I get out of it. So again, it's more than enough for me in terms of a smartphone, because by the time I get home anyway, I plug my phone in and I'm charging away. So that's all good. So generally very easy to use, very straightforward here. We've got a bunch of AI features as well available. One of my qualms with the software though is things like the amount of icons you can have at the bottom of the taskbar there, for example. And even when you fold it with the big display, you're still limited to how many you can have suggested, how many you can add to here as well. But it would be nice to give you a bit more freedom to be able to do that. Multitasking is no issue at all for that big display, because that's the whole point at the end of the day if you're going to be using this. So you can have multiple apps open on the screen like so. So you can have this floating application there, for example, and if you wish to do so, I can put it back in a split view. So now I have these 3 apps running side by side. So I can have this going, I can have maps going there as well. I can scroll across and have website going over here as well. You can interact with them as well across the apps, which is really nice. So I think they've done a really good job when it comes to multitasking, and it just makes this experience even better. As for the camera interface, if you're going to video, we can shoot up to 4K at 60 frames per second. There's also options for 1080p, 720p. So fill your boots, there's loads of options there in terms of what you can and can't shoot. If you go to master, this is where you can select things like your shutter speed, your ISO, and so on. So if you want to shoot RAW as well, this is where you select the option to shoot JPEG or RAW full post-editing options. And if you go back to photo as well, you can see 0.6, 1x, 2, 3, and 6. Anything past 6, AI starts to kick in and it doesn't look quite as good in my opinion. You also get some smart selections, so smart scenes. You can do stage, silhouette, etc. So if you ever find yourself in those scenarios, you can do exactly just that. If you go to portrait as well, options are there in terms of different focal length, and you can also change the aperture there. You can see that in the corner. Go to more, you can do things like your night, film. You can also do longer exposure, high res, so you make sure that you're using the full width of the sensors. Obviously pixel binned, and you got expand there as well. So plenty of options there for all your content capture need. And obviously this is also Hasselblad, so you get some Hasselblad filters available as well if you want to do so. So tap that, you see some options here. Plenty of options available. One of the cool things that you can do as well is if you download the OPPO Connect app, you can connect to your MacBook and between your phone, so your OPPO Find N5 and your MacBook, And with that, you'll be able to transfer files. You can even remote connect, so you can do things like edit videos from your OPPO Find N5, which I think is pretty cool. And I think more phone companies or phone manufacturers should also incorporate this with their software. So all well and good so far, and we're gonna go on to the bit that it's not so well for the Find N5. So let's talk about the camera, because we have different camera setups here. For the main camera, we have a 50 megapixel 21mm lens. It's f1.89 and it's 1/1.56 inch in size. And then we have a telephoto lens, which is 50 megapixel, 70mm, and it's a periscope lens, and it gives you 10 centimeter focal distance, which isn't too bad at all. But when it comes to that ultra wide, this is where things start to show a little bit, because we get 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide angle camera at 116 degrees field of view. And for the front facing is 8 megapixel f2.4. So not the best of front facing cameras out there. It doesn't really do a great job when it comes to the front facing, especially in low light. It's not the best. The main camera is fantastic. You get some really good detailed, fantastic shots. The telephoto is great as well. I also love that you can do telephoto macro on this, because most devices, they use ultra wide angle camera for that bit. So that using that telephoto just makes it easier to get closer to your subject without leaning over too much and almost touching the subject to get a macro shot. The ultra wide angle camera though is where it starts to lack things like HDR, it starts dynamic range, it lacks detail, the colors look a bit dull. So it's not the best of ultra wide angle camera. But I can maybe let that slide, because this is a foldable device that's really thin, does a lot of things very well in terms of the charging speed for wireless charging, wired charging, big batteries there as well, great processing performance, great display as well, nice and vibrant on the outer and inner display. But when it comes to that ultra wide angle camera, is my only letdown when it comes to this smartphone. So it's just one that's easy to recommend for most people for sure, and it's just fantastic. You do have to mind the way that you hold your phone as well, because the speaker grills are here on both sides. So if you're gaming like this, you're going to be blocking the speaker if you're watching films. So you might have to rotate it and hold it like this, which, to be fair, the camera bump just gives you extra grip and just holding area for your phone, which I think is pretty cool. But overall though, I think this is a fantastic device and something that I would use every day kind of thing. So it's a really good device, so slick, so thin, and it's just fantastic. And it's not fragile, so don't get this and start using it like it's gonna break. It's built to handle all that kind of usage. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you get one of these? Is this something that will pique your interest or bring you over to actually using foldable devices? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.